Before Star Wars shook Hollywood, George Lucas told a small yet profound story about American youth in the early 1960s, American Graffiti, 1973. The film is a symphony of those last summer nights, engine sounds, music, and aspiration, where every character stands on the boundary between dreamy youth and adulthood. On screen, they laugh, drive through the streets, fall in love, break up all like a youth anthem that never fades. But when the studio lights went out, many of them went through years full of inner turmoil, from addiction, illness, to the oblivion of time. American Graffiti did not just record the youth of a generation, but also became a mirror reflecting the tragedy of the very people who contributed to its making. Jana Bellan as Budda youth, quietly drifting into oblivion. Jana Bellan, born on August 28, 1951, was only 22 when American Graffiti was released in 1973, the age of enthusiasm and new beginnings. In the role of Budda, she appeared fleetingly but brilliantly, carrying the innocence and spontaneity of an American girl on the verge of adulthood. Though not a major role Bellan made, audiences remember her with her bright eyes and gentle smile as if youth would last forever. After the film, her name almost vanished from cinema, without a noisy departure from the stage nor an announcement of retirement. Bellan chose a life of silence amidst the clamorous world of fame. No scandals, no glamour, just a simplicity that made many forget she once walked the red carpet. That silence became a beautiful sadness, proof of the fragility of Hollywood's spotlight. Jana Bellan passed away on January 18, 2024, at the age of 72. The sad news was briefly noted in the local section without great fanfare. Budda of American Graffiti departed gently, just as she once appeared on screen, a fleeting moment of youth yet lingering in the memory of those who watched. Cindy Williams as Laurie Henderson, the bright smile behind the lonely screen. Amidst the vibrant colors of American Graffiti, there is a smile that audiences remember forever. That is Cindy Williams. When the film premiered in 1973, she was 26 years old, carrying the innocence of someone who had just reached the peak of her dreams. Born on August 22, 1947, Williams once believed that Hollywood was a place where love and joy could last forever, just like the character Laurie Henderson she portrayed. But real life was not as gentle as those frames of youth. After the glamour of Laverne and Shirley, Cindy began a long series of quiet years. Opportunities gradually became scarce, fame faded, and she faced the feeling of being left behind in a world that once adored her. The bright smiles of the past were now just a mask concealing her loneliness, as she chose to live privately away from the camera lens. Williams took her last breath on January 25, 2023, at the age of 75. No scandal, no dramatic farewell, just a departure as light as smoke, leaving behind the image of an eternally young Laurie Henderson, while Cindy Williams dissolved into silence. In the nostalgic music of American Graffiti, that smile is still there, bright yet sad like a beautiful memory that has long faded. Wolfman Jack as DJ himself, the legendary voice lost between solitude and fate. Before appearing in American Graffiti 1973, Wolfman Jack was already a true icon of the American radio waves. Born on January 21, 1938, he was famous for his hoarse, passionate voice, the sound that captivated millions of American youth every night. In the film, he did not need to act. He just needed to be himself, the disc jockey who made the whole town live in music and dreams. Yet off-screen, the Lord of the Night Waves was a solitary man. After the glamour of the frantic broadcasts were years of depleted health due to overwork and the pressure of fame. He once confessed that he feared silence because in silence he heard his own emptiness. Fame once saved him from obscurity, but also trapped him in an image he no longer had the strength to maintain. Wolfman Jack passed away on July 1, 1995, at the age of 57 after a sudden heart attack at his home. His death came unexpectedly, almost immediately after he had finished a radio broadcast. That legendary voice, which once animated the summer nights in American Graffiti, was silenced forever, leaving a strange void where music once played loudly now, only the stillness of fate remains. Bo Hopkins as Joe Vitality on screen. Silent struggles in life. Bo Hopkins, born on February 2, 1938, was 35 when he joined American Graffiti, bringing to the role of Joe, a mature, tough, yet vibrant character, a point of focus amidst the film's lively young cast. On screen, Joe appeared as an archetype of strength, decisiveness, and energy, making audiences easily remember his image. Off-screen, Hopkins' life went through many challenges. He faced personal injuries, professional pressure, and upheavals in his private life. Fame and roles could not hide the years of struggle, loneliness, and sometimes feeling lost in the world of Hollywood. The spotlight on screen contrasted with the darkness of real life, where every success was accompanied by silent sacrifices. Bo Hopkins passed away on June 28, 2022, at the age of 84. Joe on screen remains vivid, brilliant, and strong. While Bo Hopkins in real life is proof that behind every smile, every role, there always exist years of silent, tragic struggles. Susan Richardson as Judy, the fading glory of youth. Due to addiction and poverty, Susan Richardson, born on March 11, 1952, entered American Graffiti at the age of 21, carrying the innocence and vitality of a young girl. In the role of Judy, she was a part of the film's lively youth. Viewers saw freshness, innocence, and energy. But real life was completely different. The brilliant light on screen concealed the arduous series of days behind it. Richardson faced harsh challenges, addiction, financial difficulty, and scarce roles that failed to maintain her fame. For many years, she lived in loneliness, struggling both to preserve her career and to maintain her faith in life. The laughter on screen now seems like a thin mask, concealing Richardson's insecurity and silent struggles. Currently, Susan Richardson is 73 years old, living away from the Hollywood lights quietly and simply. Judy on screen is an icon of bright youth, while Susan in real life is proof that sometimes glamour is just a thin curtain behind which are years of quiet, challenging, and resilient struggles. Candy Clark as Debbie Dunham. Silent tragedy behind the radiance. Born on June 20, 1947, Candy Clark entered American Graffiti at the age of 26, bringing a charm and brightness that the audience quickly noticed. In the role of Debbie Dunham, she was a radiant image overflowing with youthful energy, a girl who made viewers fully feel the atmosphere of summer nights and American rock music. But real life was completely opposite to that glamour. Clark faced fierce competition in Hollywood, along with gradually diminishing career opportunities, causing her past fame to fade. She chose a private life, shying away from the cameras and media, where the laughter on screen became only a faint memory. This very silence highlights a subtle tragedy, external brilliance, but an interior full of quiet struggle. Currently, Candy Clark is 78 years old. Debbie Dunham in the film is an icon of bright and optimistic youth, while Candy Clark in real life is proof that sometimes glamour is just an outer shell concealing the quiet, challenging years of reality. Richard Dreyfuss as Curt Henderson. Fame exchanged for loneliness and pressure. Born on October 29, 1947, Richard Dreyfuss entered American Graffiti at the age of 25, carrying the curious eyes and energy of a young actor. The role of Curt Henderson not only showcased impetuous youth, but also brought Dreyfuss attention as a promising face in Hollywood. But that fame came at a high price. Dreyfuss went through years of stress, facing professional pressure, public scrutiny, and personal crises. The bright light on screen could not conceal the long, lonely nights and internal struggles. Beneath the glamour was a person who had to balance expectation, success, and mental health. Currently, Richard Dreyfuss is 78 years old, living privately away from the clamor of Hollywood. After the spotlight of youth, he focused on his family and private projects, living quietly but peacefully, in complete contrast to the brilliant image of Curt Henderson on screen. Curt Henderson on screen still evokes a time of vibrant youth, while Richard Dreyfuss in real life reminds us that sometimes glamour and fame are just a thin shell, behind which is a life full of challenges and years of silent struggle. Ron Howard as Steve Bolander. The Glory of Youth and Silent Pressure. Born on March 1st, 1954, Ron Howard was only 19 when he joined American Graffiti, the age of brilliant dreams and endless expectations. In the role of Steve Bolander, Howard appeared as the representative image of enthusiastic youth first loves and the aspiration to conquer the world, making audiences easily swept away by the laughter and cheerful scenes. But off-screen, Howard's path was not all rosy. Gaining fame early, he had to face the pressure of maintaining his name and public image. The years of stress, sometimes feeling isolated between audience expectations and professional pressure, became a silent war with himself. The brilliant light on screen obscured the silence within, where Howard had to learn to balance fame and his personal life. At the age of 71, Ron Howard remains dedicated to his film career while keeping his personal life balanced and private. Steve Bolander in American Graffiti remains the image of vibrant youth, while Ron Howard in real life is proof that glamour comes with silent challenges, where fame cannot eclipse the years of quiet struggle behind the screen. Joe Spano as Vic. On-screen smile, off-screen silence. July 7th, 1946, was the date the world welcomed Joe Spano, who would later become one of the familiar faces of American Graffiti. When he joined the film, Spano was 27, bringing to the role of Vic, a quiet yet approachable character who created a focal point that was both humorous and mundane amidst the lively youth cast. On screen, Vic was a lovable figure, allowing the audience to fully feel the atmosphere of American youth in the early 1960s. However, Spano's real life held more subdued colors. Although he continued his acting career, he faced years of stress having to balance work pressure and private life. Fame was never consistent. There were periods of absence when the screen spotlight no longer shone. That quietness contrasts with his on-screen smile, reminding us that artists sometimes have to sacrifice comfort and peace to maintain a public image. Joe Spano, now 79 years old, maintains a discreet and stable life away from the Hollywood spotlight. His quiet life stands in complete contrast to Vic, the brilliant, dynamic character audiences once loved on screen in American Graffiti. Charles Martin Smith as Terry, the Toad. Young talent and quiet years. Charles Martin Smith, born on October 30, 1953, was only 19 when he joined American Graffiti, bringing to the role of Terry the Toad, the witty student full of curiosity and youthful enthusiasm. On screen, the Toad is the image representing innocence, fleeting dreams, and the spirit of teenage adventure, making audiences both pity and laugh at his every situation. Off-screen, Smith's life was not all light. He struggled to find his footing in a harsh industry where fame came quickly but could also fade easily. The years of silence away from the spotlight were a time for Smith to self-improve, face professional pressure, and fight to maintain his true self. At the age of 72, Charles Martin Smith still maintains his film career, but his life off-screen is much quieter and more private than the mischievous image of the Toad on film. He spends most of his time working behind the scenes, writing scripts, and contributing to cinema in subtle but persistent ways. Under the Hollywood glamour, Charles keeps his personal life stable, avoiding the noise and scandal. The contrast between the vibrant character on screen and the quiet life off-screen reminds us that the years of fame are only the tip of the iceberg, while the deep part holds silent, persistent struggles. Paul Le Mat as John Milner Speedstar on screen, struggling with the dark in real life. When he joined American Graffiti in 1973, Paul Le Mat was 28, carrying abundant energy and youthful innocence. Born on September 22, 1945, he stepped into the role of John Milner, the charismatic driver, an icon of speed, recklessness, and youthful freedom. On screen, Milner was the embodiment of vitality and spontaneity, captivating audiences with the fast and vibrant rhythm of those summer nights. In real life, Le Mat went through years of silence, facing professional pressure and the fierce competition of Hollywood. Fame did not last forever. During times of absence, he had to find his own place, balancing the memory of the screen spotlight and harsh reality. Those silent moments reflected a personal tragedy when speed and prominence on screen could no longer conceal the quiet, challenging years of real life. Paul Le Mat, 80 years old, currently maintains a stable but private life, away from the spotlight that once made John Milner a youthful icon on screen. He dedicates time to private projects and family, seeking balance between his famous past and peaceful reality. Under the Hollywood lights, Le Mat endured quiet years, where fame was only a thin shell hiding silent struggles and efforts. The contrast between Milner's reckless, fast-paced image and Paul Le Mat's quiet life reminds us that behind the screen's light there always exist untold stories. Kathleen Quinlan as Peg, the light of youth and quiet years. Born on November 19, 1954, Kathleen Quinlan was only 19 when she joined American Graffiti in 1973, bringing to the role of Peg, a mischievous, radiant girl full of youthful energy. On screen, Peg was an icon of innocence and youthful joy, making audiences easily recall the vivid moments of those American summer nights. But Quinlan's real life was much quieter. She faced professional challenges, fierce competition, and the pressure of maintaining her image in the film industry. The brilliant glamour on screen was only a shell concealing long nights of silent struggle, loneliness, and perseverance to find her footing in vast Hollywood. Kathleen Quinlan is now 70 years old and chooses to live quietly away from the controversy and noise of Hollywood. After the spotlight of youth, she dedicates time to herself, family, and personal projects, living a peaceful private life. On screen, Peg appears brilliant, dynamic, and full of teenage vitality, but Quinlan's real life is much quieter, subtler, and more composed. This contrast serves as a reminder that behind the bright smiles and prominent roles are years of silent, persistent, and challenging struggles. Mackenzie Phillips as Carol, youthfulness on screen, tragedy in real life. Mackenzie Phillips, born on November 10, 1959, was only 14 when she joined American Graffiti, 1973. In the role of Carol, she brought the image of a youthful, innocent girl full of the curiosity and energy of adolescence. On screen, Carol was a colorful highlight of youth, reminding audiences of the vibrant bygone days, summer nights, and lively rock music. Behind that glamour, Phillips' life went through harsh challenges. She had to battle addiction issues from her teens, the pressure of fame, and complex relationships both within her family and profession. Her life off screen was a series of days struggling with private darkness, completely opposite to the radiant and cheerful image the audience saw on film. At the age of 66, Mackenzie Phillips lives a private life focused on stabilizing herself after years full of upheavals and challenges. She had to fight her past, including difficulties with addiction and personal pressure, to find peace in her present life. On screen, Carol is an image full of vitality, innocence, and cheerfulness. But Mackenzie's real life is completely different, quiet, full of effort and persistence. This contrast serves as a reminder that the glamour of the screen is only the surface, while behind it are years of silent struggle that few people see. American Graffiti depicts a vibrant youth where summer nights, music, and the sound of cars create a vivid picture of American young adulthood. On screen, the characters are brilliant, bright, and full of vitality, images that audiences cannot forget. But the actors' real lives were far different, from years spent battling addiction, professional pressure, loneliness, to the quietness of lives moving away from the spotlight. These real-life stories are a reminder that behind the smiles, laughter, and overflowing energy on film, there always exist deep human challenges. The screen's light is only the surface, while the darkness of real life is where silent tragedies are experienced, fought, and overcome. From the American summer nights of the early 1960s, we are about to step into another world, where female power, strength, and action archetypes were elevated on screen. Charlie's Angels will open the story of modern heroines, but once again, behind the glamour and brilliance will be the struggles, challenges, and real-life tragedies of the actors, continuing the tradition of light and shadow that American Graffiti began. Kate Jackson as Sabrina Duncan. Cancer knocked twice. Kate Jackson, born on October 29, 1948, in Birmingham, Alabama, USA. She played the role of Sabrina Duncan at the age of 28. Sabrina was considered the most rational and brainy of the angels, often serving as the strategist and unofficial leader of the group. She was beloved by audiences for her intelligence, professionalism, and as a contrast to the purely glamorous appearance of her co-stars. Jaclyn was the most seasoned actress of the original trio, and was the one who suggested the name Angels for the show, making her an integral part of the brand's history. Despite being the breakthrough star of the series, Kate Jackson paid the heaviest price for that success. She often worked 14 to 16 hours a day. Exhaustion and continuous disagreements with producer Aaron Spelling over creative control and working hours forced her to leave Charlie's Angels after the third season. She once bitterly admitted, "I couldn't do one more episode." Most regrettably, this decision also made her miss the iconic role of Mrs. Kramer in the Oscar-winning film Kramer vs. Kramer 1979 because the producer refused to release her, an event she described as heartbreaking. However, the greatest tragedy struck when Jaclyn was on the verge of re-establishing herself. In 1987, at the age of 39, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had to undergo a partial mastectomy, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy. This was a huge shock, heavily impacting her psychology and career. The tragedy did not stop there. Just 2 years later, in 1989, the breast cancer recurred. This time, Kate Jackson made the painful decision to have a full mastectomy. This prolonged battle took away many valuable career years, causing her to almost disappear from the screen. Additionally, she was financially defrauded by her advisor, losing millions of dollars in the early 2000s, further complicating her financial situation. Currently, at the age of 76, as of 2025, Kate Jackson has withdrawn from Hollywood and lives a private life on a farm in Virginia. She dedicates her time to raising her adopted son, Charles Taylor Jackson, and actively participates in charitable activities for cancer prevention organizations. She is a symbol of a brave survivor. Her estimated current net worth is around 10 million USD. This figure is considered modest compared to her skyrocketing salary during her peak, reflecting a career downturn and the enormous medical costs she had to bear. Farrah Fawcett as Jill Munroe. The solitary and brutal battle. Farrah Fawcett, born on February 2, 1947, in Corpus Christi, Texas, USA. She stepped into the role of Jill Munroe at 29 and immediately became a pop culture phenomenon. Jill Munroe was not just an angel. She was the sex symbol and the most radiant image of California beauty of the 70s. She was passionately beloved not only for her acting, but also for her famous feathered blonde hair and the sense of freedom exuded by her character. Although she only starred for one season, Farrah defined the brand's explosion, laying the foundation for the series' enduring success. However, immediately after the film's success, Farrah faced immense pressure. She was quickly labeled a sex symbol rather than a serious actress. Her decision to leave the series after the first season to prove her acting ability led to a prolonged and tense legal battle, fracturing her relationship with the producer. Her personal life was also tumultuous and fraught with difficulties. Her complex, decades-long and turbulent relationship with actor Ryan O'Neal was a separate tragedy. They had one son together, Redmond, who struggled with addiction. This troubled family life with public arguments, separations and reconciliations brought Farrah much pain and psychological stress. The most devastating tragedy struck in 2006 when she was diagnosed with a rare form of anal adenocarcinoma. This was a solitary and painful battle that Farrah bravely documented in her personal documentary, Farrah's Story. She pursued various treatments, including experimental therapies abroad, but the disease continued to progress severely. Her final images, frail and exhausted in a hospital bed, were a stark contrast to the radiant image of the angel of yesteryear, deeply upsetting millions of fans. Farrah Fawcett passed away on June 25, 2009, at the age of 62 due to cancer. Her ashes were interred at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Her estimated net worth at the time of her death was about 20 million USD. This figure is considered modest compared to her global influence. The majority of her assets upon her death were bequeathed to her son and the Farrah Fawcett Foundation to fund cancer research, showing her prioritization of family and medicine in her final years. Jaclyn Smith as Kelly Garrett, battling illness in silence. Jaclyn Smith, born on October 26, 1945 in Houston, Texas, USA. She took on the role of Kelly Garrett when she was 31. Kelly was the warmest, most feminine, and kind-hearted angel. In stark contrast to the early departures of her co-stars Farrah Fawcett and Kate Jackson, Jaclyn was the only actress to appear in all 5 seasons of the original series, becoming the stable central face of the brand. She was beloved for her classic beauty grace and rare consistency within the cast. Jaclyn's stability on screen was in opposition to the challenges in her personal life. The entertainment industry relentlessly scrutinized her relationships. Jaclyn had to face the pressure of maintaining a perfect image, as well as the breakdown of her first 3 marriages. However, instead of succumbing to tragedy, Smith proved to be a shrewd businesswoman. After Charlie's Angels ended, she not only continued acting, but also pioneered building a fashion empire with a clothing line in collaboration with Kmart. This was a groundbreaking move demonstrating her ability to successfully transition from a Hollywood icon to a powerful businesswoman. Despite her perfect appearance and stable life, Jaclyn also had to undergo a silent health battle. In 2003, she was diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer. Unlike Kate Jackson or Farrah Fawcett, Jaclyn Smith chose to keep this information private for a long time. She only shared her story after successfully recovering from surgery and radiation therapy. This private, quiet fight demonstrates her determination to maintain privacy and control her public image, an invisible pressure that famous stars must endure. Currently at the age of 79, Jaclyn Smith is still a healthy cancer survivor. She continues to maintain a successful fashion business career and lives happily with her 4th husband, a cardiothoracic surgeon. She frequently appears with astonishing youthful looks, inspiring a healthy and positive life. Her estimated current net worth is up to $150 million USD. This massive figure largely comes not from acting salaries, but from her successful business career and ability to build a sustainable personal brand, helping her far surpass her co-stars financially. David Doyle as John Bosley, the warm heart that suddenly stopped. David Doyle, whose birth name was David Fitzgerald Doyle, was born on December 1, 1929, in Omaha, Nebraska, USA. He stepped into the role of John Bosley at the age of 47. Bosley was Charlie's loyal and devoted liaison, the only male character with whom the Angels regularly interacted. He was the warm heart of the agency, providing humor, stability, and reliability. Bosley was beloved for his endearing clumsiness, absolute loyalty, and being a solid anchor amidst the detective's dangerous situations. Like Jaclyn Smith, he was one of only 2 actors to appear in all 115 episodes of the original series. Although he brought laughter and lightness to the screen, David Doyle's private life contained deep sadness. He was a veteran Broadway theater actor before coming to television. The greatest tragedy in his life was the loss of his first wife, Rachel, in 1968 after a long illness. His wife's death left a major wound, forcing him to become a single father, a significant challenge while trying to balance the demanding acting work with caring for his family. His career later stabilized thanks to the role of Bosley, but the emotional burden and family responsibility always weighed heavily on the artist. Unlike the leading actresses who fought cancer for years, David Doyle's death came suddenly and unexpectedly. He passed away on October 26, 1997, just over a month before his 68th birthday. The cause of death was determined to be a heart attack at his home in Los Angeles. His sudden departure shocked fans as he was still considered a vibrant actor and a familiar face. This was a tragic end, showing the fragility of life even for those who often bring joy to others. His ashes were later cremated and given to the family. David Doyle's estimated net worth at the time of his death was about $5 million USD. Although he had a stable career and was associated with a hit series for many years, this figure reflects a reality. The role of sidekick and television actor did not generate the huge fortunes of the top film stars of that era. The legacy he left behind is not money, but the image of the honest, lovable John Bosley, forever the heart of the Townsend agency. John Forsythe as Charles "Charlie" Townsend. The silent battle with illness. John Forsythe, whose birth name was John Lincoln Freund, was born on January 29, 1918 in Penns Grove, New Jersey, USA. He began his role as Charles "Charlie" Townsend voiceover at the age of 58. Audiences never saw Charlie's face, but his warm, commanding, and authoritative voice was the center of power for the Townsend agency. Charlie was the soul of the series, the one who delivered assignments to the angels via a speaker beloved for his mystery and witty lines. He was an indispensable character, maintaining a presence in every episode. Throughout his career, Forsythe was the embodiment of elegance, but his life was a series of silent health battles. Even while at the height of his fame with his voiceover role in Charlie's Angels and later as Blake Carrington in Dynasty, he was fighting a serious illness. In 1979, he was diagnosed with colon cancer and had to undergo surgery. This was a secret he tried to keep hidden so as not to affect his professional image and burgeoning career. His quiet victory over the disease showed incredible resilience behind that powerful voice. John Forsythe's career spanned nearly 7 decades. After the show ended, he went on to become a television legend with his role as Blake Carrington. However, his health gradually declined. John Forsythe passed away on April 1, 2010, at the age of 92. The cause of death was announced as pneumonia, a consequence of many years battling cancer and old age. His passing closed a great chapter in American television history. He was cremated and his ashes were given to the family. John Forsythe's estimated net worth at the time of his death was about $40 million USD. This figure significantly exceeded all his co-stars, primarily due to the massive success of the series Dynasty and other lucrative commercial contracts he secured after Charlie's Angels. This fortune is proof of a long, successful career, despite his numerous life-and-death challenges. He transformed a voice-only role into a rich and enduring legacy. The stars of Charlie's Angels left us with unforgettable memories and moments of pure entertainment. They were pioneers breaking barriers regarding the image of female empowerment on television. Whether it was Farrah Fawcett with her fiery beauty, Kate Jackson with her sharp intellect, Jaclyn Smith with her enduring consistency, or the powerful voice of John Forsythe and the loyalty of David Doyle, all of them defined an era. However, their real-life stories are a powerful reminder of the deep human struggles against brutal illness, the pressure of fame and scrutiny behind the laughter and the glamorous spotlight. They were great artists who gave their all, but when the cameras turned off, they were also fragile human beings wrestling with private tragedy. Please share in the comments section what moment of one of the Angels or the character Bosley touched your heart the most. Which image or story is most ingrained in your memory? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to encourage us to continue exploring more moving backstage stories and little-known truths about the entertainment world, where glamour always comes with shadow.